Hello there, I'm Anna Pollard, art and technology instructor at My Fun Science. And today I'd like to do an art lesson with you to draw these cowboy boots. And this will be a guided step-by-step lesson. So if you're nervous about, well, I don't think I can draw these, don't worry, because I'm going to take you step by step. So what I'd like to use today are chalk pastels or soft pastels. And they look something like a crayon. They actually look something like the chalk that you use on the sidewalk, just little things like that. Okay. And your drawing paper can be smooth or textured. I'm using a cardstock and I'm going to draw portrait, which is up and down long ways. So it's taller than it is wide. Okay, this is landscape. This is portrait. You may sketch the boots first if you'd like to. If you want to sketch, grab an art pencil. The best ones for sketching are the HB, or 2B, and those numbers are on the pencil here. And when you sketch, you want to sketch lightly because you'll erase your lines. You don't want them really dark. If you want to have lines like this, a thicker black line type of drawing, then you can grab a permanent marker. I use the Sharpie extra fine point, which is what I'm going to use today. An art eraser is good. The best kind of art erasers for chalk pastels are the kneaded eraser. And a kneaded eraser looks like this. They're little square erasers, but after you use them, they end up looking like this. And they're called kneaded erasers because when they get dirty, you can pull them and stretch them and find clean spots inside of them like that, like you're kneading dough to make bread. So that's your kneaded eraser. Cotton balls and Q-tips are great, and Kleenex or tissue for blending your chalk pastel. Okay? Or Kleenex and paper towels, any of those. So go ahead and grab your materials. And while you're doing that, I'll talk to you a little bit about how cowboy boots came about being so popular. So after the American Civil War, cattle drives increased demand for practical, durable footwear. And boot makers in Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma began crafting boots with high shafts, which are these how high the boot goes up on the leg. That's the shaft to protect the legs from brush and snakes when the cowboys or whoever were riding through the woods. Pointed toes, which were easier to get the boot into a stirrup on a horse. And these heels look like this, so it would help keep the feet in the stirrups, like your foot wouldn't slide through a stirrup. And the stitching and the decoration, the stitching was in the leather was for decoration and to make it a more sturdy structure. Notice the different designs because you're going to be putting your own designs on your boot. In the 1920s and 1940s, cowboy boots became fashionable thanks to Hollywood westerns. There were stars like Gene Autry and Roy Rogers that popularized colorful, embellished versions of boots. And after World War II, mass production and urban cowboy culture brought boots into the mainstream of fashion. Today, cowboy boots are worn for function, ranch work, rodeos, and for fashion, country music, high fashion. So styles vary. Traditional Western, roper boots, which have a shorter heel and shaft, and even exotic leathers being used like snake skin and alligator skin and stuff like that. Okay. We're going to draw something similar to this. You do not have to use the same colors. I'm going to show you how to draw the basic boot. You can put your own design on it and you can put your own background that you wish. Okay. So while you're getting out, go ahead and get out your materials while I switch my camera over so you can draw along with me. Okay. Okay, so you should be able to see my desktop now, and you see my boots upside down, I believe. So I need to move my camera around. Um, move this out of the way. Okay, so I've already sketched mine. So what I'm going to do is straighten up my work area, get out my Sharpie, and show you how to draw these. Okay. Another thing you can do before we start, if you want to, you can mask off your border either with masking tape or white artist tape, comes in white, or where do I want this? Right here. Um, or I'm using painter's tape, like if you're painting a room. And I'll show you what this does for you at the end, but what it's going to do is create a nice border, clean border. Now, if you like framing your art, you might want to go to the store, an art store, and buy a couple different sizes of mats. These are the mats that go in a frame. And I've already done this. I've drawn off an area of where my picture is going to be inside the mat in the frame. And I do this because if I don't do this, I might draw too big and it might not fit into a normal size mat, and I would have to get a custom made mat and frame, which would be very expensive. So this way I know that I can just run down to the store, buy a frame that will fit around this mat, and it will be affordable. Okay. Okay, so what I would do first um, is start with something in the middle. Like if I started up in the corner, I might end up drawing too big and I'd run out of paper. So I usually start with a focal point. If it's a person or an animal, I start with the eyes or the nose or the mouth. Something that's in the middle that I can build around. On these boots, I think I'm going to start with the sole of the boot and then build up. Okay, so that way too, you can make your shaft on the boot as high as you want. So this is half of your page. We're down here. We're about a third or a fourth. This is about a fourth of the page. I'm going to draw the sole of the boot, starting with that, and then curve up. We'll put the heel on the boot, and then you might see a little bit of the inside of the heel right there. and that's an angled line. And you can pause the video at any time if I'm going too fast for you. Okay. So next, I'm going to draw this curve that goes around the heel and goes on up. And you can see this line is a little jagged because they're boots and leather is not perfectly straight. So you don't have to worry about drawing a perfectly straight line. Can have some curves in it. Mhm. All right. Then we'll go to the front of that boot and we'll come up and curve, come in and start drawing to the top. And yes, you can do this in pencil first if you want. You don't have to use permanent marker. But with me using a permanent marker, you're able to see what I'm doing better. Okay, now right about here, I'm going to put like a border on the boot. And then I'm going to draw this strap that helps you pull the boot up when you're putting them on. Here we go. Okay. And then I'm going to finish this border off. I'm going to add these dotted lines, which will indicate stitching on the boot. There's a seam going down the boot. I'm not going to do that yet. Wait. I think I'm going to do this line here. So starting at the top of the heel, come and curve down and back up. And again, you've got some stitching here. And when you're drawing, you can be looking at your object you're drawing. It is okay to draw from pictures because your drawing's not going to come out like it anyway, and that's a good way to practice. You can take your own photos if you want of your subjects that you're drawing. Now I'm going to do this line here in the side of the boot. Again, I'm going to be a little curvy on that line. This boot has a stirrup on it. A stirrup on a boot is functional because if you have a horse that doesn't want to go, he's stubborn or he's slow, you can just kick him with a stirrup, but very lightly, not too much. Unless you really want him to take off, you better hold on. And that will get him to go because a horse does not like something sticking into him. And this is just a little button and a strap holding that stirrup on. Okay. A shadow on my page here. I move this stuff here. There we go. All right. And then if you want to pause here, go to the internet, look at some designs that you want on your boot. That's fine. Decide what you want to put on your boot. You can just Google cowboy boots. Click on images, and it should give you lots of images of different designs. Okay, so then the second boot, you're only seeing part of it behind it. We're going to start with the sole. And I'm going to come up, curve, go in, and then up again. I'm not doing a perfectly straight line. I'm doing that border on the boot, the stitching. And you're going to see a little bit of that strap that pulls the boot up. I'll do this here, some more stitching, and then add whatever design you want on that, whatever you're going to see. You're only going to see part of it because it's hiding behind the other one. Okay, there. See how easy that was? And then you'll work on your background. I'm going to do the same background I have here, but you can do whatever you want. This is out in the Southwest, so we're probably going to see some rocks, mountains. And this is either a moon or a sun. So I can't draw a straight circle. So what I have is a template that I bought at the art store. It looks like this. To give me a circle. And part of this is going to hide behind the mountain. Or you could just find something that's round, that's too big, but to trace. And you can get these in all different shapes, ovals and everything. These are kind of cool. It's really what a graphic designer might use. All right. And then I'm gonna do a couple different layers of mountains. I'm gonna do a cactus. With a little flowery thing on the top with some prickly, what do you call these things? Cactus things that are prickly. Thorns? Oh, no, but they hurt if you get them in your finger. I'm going to put some desert plants. Some rocks down here. And another desert plant here. Again, pause. You need time. Oops, and I forgot something. Let's see, I'm gonna do another plant over here. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna need a scrap piece of paper when we start adding color. Now you can even hide your signature somewhere on this if you want. You don't have to always put your signature in the right-hand corner bottom. A lot of artists will hide their signature somewhere. And you know what? I'd rather do it with pencil. Like I might want to do it here and put a Pollard, very small, and the date, which is, I'm just going to put 2025. Something like that. All right, I'm going to do pink boots. Similar to that. And I want to show you how to do a chalk rub. So I'm going to grab a cotton ball and a Q-tip. And I'm going to get a pretty shade of pink. I want a bright, pretty shade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. You can't see that. Wait a minute. I'm going to come over here and make some chalk dust. And I'm going to grab my Q-tip, rub it. This is called a chalk rub. And this is the way you can get a nice smooth texture of chalk pastels on your paper. Um, okay. Now, when you do this, you're going to get some chalk dust on your paper, and you don't want to blow it off because it's going to get all over the place. So you want to keep a garbage can, little trash can, whatever, close by to just flick it off in the trash can. Also, as you start getting a lot of pastel on your paper, you might get it on your arm and then smear it on your paper. So the best thing to do is grab a scrap piece of paper or a paper towel or Kleenex and lay it on your artwork for your hand to have something to lean on without smudging your paper. Okay, so that's almost like painting the chalk on your paper. I'm going to go ahead and do everything that's pink on mine. You can use any color you want on yours, by the way. I'm going to need some more. I think I'm going to put a pink border. And I think I'm going to do pink down here. All right, now I'm just going to flick off into the waste paper basket. And if I get any flakes on my paper, I'll just use my kneaded eraser to pull them off. But I did a pretty good job of being neat. Yeah. I think I need to get out some more colors. All right, I'm gonna do purple like I did on those other boots. Is this purple? Yeah. Not really. I'll try this color. Yes, I'm doing colorful girly boots. Okay, I'm gonna do some purple up here. You could do realistic colors too if you want to do a brown for a leather or a tan. Could do complementary colors like yellow, red and green, or okay, so for really tiny areas that are hard to get your chalk pastel into, you can pull out your colored pencil. I'm going to use a colored pencil on the sole of my boot to fill this in. I'm using a black colored pencil. And maybe this might be kind of a yellowish color, goldish color. Okay. All right, so let me show you some other things that you can do with your background. I'll turn this around. So if it's a sun, I might want to have an orange. I might want to use an orange. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and color this in like a crayon. And then I'm gonna use my chalk pastel just to blend it. I'm gonna flick off the excess powder into the garbage can. My sky, I'm gonna do a blue. And you can use chalk pastels on their side, like this. When you have a large area. And I'm gonna add I'm gonna add a little bit of paint to this. And then I'm gonna take my my cotton ball this time, and blend it together. I'm gonna pull out my Q-tip. To blend into the corners. Oh, look how pretty that is. Not pretty. Okay, then I'm gonna get some green. I know it's a desert, but my desert's gonna be green. Grab my cotton ball. You might need several cotton balls. Blend that in. I'm going to take that orange and I'm going to add a reflection. And also blend with your fingers. Okay. All right, another thing you can do is make your chalk rub. I'm gonna grab a clean cotton ball. And you could do this as well. And I'm going to do this whole area, and then I'm going to go back in with a darker color to do my cactus and my plants. So I'm not worried about it covering up the other objects, because your pastels can go right on top of each other. You can layer, blend different colors together like I did on the sky. I want some more reflection down here of the sun. And need some more green down here. Yeah, okay. Now I can take maybe a darker green. For my plants. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to that. And blend with my Q-tip. And if I get a little bit where I don't want it, I'll just pick it up off the page there with my eraser. I'm going to grab another colored pencil to add some blooming flowers on the cactus here. And then I'm going to take that black and add a little bit of shadow under the boot with the side of the pencil. Sun shining from there, so it's probably going to have a little shadow. Might even have a little shadow under some of these plants. Maybe. And then for the rocks, I think I'm going to blend, what color this is, a couple of different colors here together. I'm just using the side with a chalk pastel. And I might put a little darker, is that brown? Put a little darker brown. I don't know, that might be black. I think this one's brown. Just add some variations on the rock. I'm gonna flick off the excess. Straighten up my desk a little bit while you're working. I've made a mess. All right, so I'm gonna double check and see if there's anything I need to touch up. I think everything looks pretty good. So I'm gonna very carefully pick up my tape. Um, and I'm not going to take it all off right this minute, but just to show you how it gives you a crisp border. You have to take it off very slowly so it doesn't lift your paper. Another kind of tape that's good for this is called Magic Removable. It's a clear tape, but it comes off very easily. Okay, so I've got one side off. Fairly clean. My fingers kind of got some smudges on it. But we can get those off with the eraser. So let's say you have a mat that's slightly bigger than your picture. Then when you put that mat on, it's going to give you a nice clear border around it. See? Although I did this one so it would fit perfectly. Because what I did was I took my paper before I drew on it, put the mat on top, made a faint line around where I knew the borders were. But this is nice too to have a nice border like that around. Okay, another thing you might want to do to keep your paper from smudging, you could pick this up at the art store. It's called Workable Fix. You go outside to spray it, hold it about 12 inches from your paper. Just go once over, and that will hold your chalk on there so it won't smudge and smear. And it's called Workable Fix because if you decide you want to go back and add to your picture, you can still go back and rework your work. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and like what you did today, what you drew today. And I hope to see you maybe in one of my art classes in the future. And have a blessed day. Bye bye now.